Okay, as we announced already, we are very happy to have Bettina Henkel, the director of the film, here for the discussion. Thank you again for coming, and thank you for bringing this very personal documentary to us. And allow me to, first question, just to give us a background, how did you come up? I mean, how long did you think about making this documentary? Is it a long project? Did you shoot it for more years? Did you prepare for that longer? What led you to that, and how many years did it take?
Yeah, this is a crucial question. Actually, 9 years ago there was a symposium in Poland from German and Polish historians about this historical fact of repatriation of the German Baltics to Poland and kicked out the Polish people. And so my father invited me to come with him to Poland, and he said, without my daughter, I can't go there. You have to go with me. And by the way, I will show you the house where I grew up. And immediately for me it was clear, I will do a film or a piece of art of it. So I come with you. In the same telephone call I said yes. So this was in autumn 2009, and because this was the 70th anniversary, or not anniversary, but not anniversary, but the commemoration of the repatriation and the Hitler-Stalin Pact and the beginning of World War II. And now we are 80 years after that, after beginning of World War II. And yes, and from 2009 on it takes another 5 years to think about concept, to think about, to speak with my father, who first denied coming with me to Latvia. And finally 2013 he agreed doing with me a journey to Latvia, to Poland and to all that places. And then we shoot, the journey actually wasn't that long, so it was 3.5 weeks, with 5 countries and 22 spots, so this was a very, very intense journey. And as I said, or as I mentioned in the film, it wasn't clear in the beginning, it wasn't clear after the journey that that will have after effects of both of us. And though there was a second and a third shooting after the journey to work over what we experienced, and still ongoing when my father sees the film and we are going together, which was recently in February, the last one, he said, yes, it's really moving for me. So it has really changed a lot of our relationship, and it changed a lot of his life, even as a psychoanalytic person who's used to reflect and who's able of self-reflection, but it changed.
So please, floor is yours for any comments, questions. Puteți să întrebați și în română, ne descurcăm aici acum. Please.
Congrats and thank you for your movie, which is so fine, so fine. I think only a woman could do that, but I don't want to have male spectators against me. But also I wanted to tell you just a little remark. You are so lucky that your father agreed to go. My father would never, ever, ever agree to go back on his past and try to analyze and speak about his feelings. And you were saying before the film that maybe we could tell you if this moved something inside of us. Well, as a first difference, I could say that here the generation of our parents, which are now my parents at least, they are 78, 80 like this, so they lived communism frontally. They would never, never agree to open up and speak about any of their feelings. So you are lucky.
Yeah, thank you so much for that comment. So this was my feeling yesterday in this screening and the talk, that there's something very dense under this, which can't be outspoken. That was my feeling. And even in Western society, there is it is not usual that you have the ability to talk. So even there, and yes, I'm very happy that that my father finally agreed and that we have found a base. But we also really, so to say, we struggled and worked hard on it. So there was, yeah, it was not just an easy present. So it was, but he did it. So, and this is I think he really gave a present to me with that film, but maybe also I think, yeah, he gives something to the audience. Yeah. So thank you.
I was just curious if did you encounter, for example, opposition from other characters that would have added more to the personal story? For example, there were some witnesses from, for example, for the people from the house, or are there, for example, other ones that couldn't be included?
Yes, especially in Poland there are people, but it was it was very hard to get them in front of the camera, because the relationship between Polish people and the German, it's more dense, and it's not. It was very surprising which stories I got from the people there. And but not everybody was willing to be in front of the camera, and in Latvia it was harder because the time distance is much bigger, and it was just by chance that I found Milza Millere, who really knows my grandmother. That was kind of really a big surprise, and then she was in this close community. From the German Balts in Latvia, so it was not easy to find Latvian people who come in contact with her, and in the end I was very lucky. So in Latvia it was harder than in Poland. In Poland there were children or now elderly ladies and men who are in the same age of or a bit older as my father, so they are alive. That was by time-wise easier. So yeah.
Why was it harder? Why was it hard to get them in front of the camera if this is such a historical? Like, what were the reasons to say no to you?
For example, so let me try to answer, but do a little detour. I found a person who was in contact with the wife of Józef Czarniecki. Maybe you remember Józef Czarniecki was the owner of the manor house in Jaronki in Poland. He was a nobleman and he was an intellectual, and he invited a lot of intellectual into his house. And so I get to know a woman who was a friend of his wife, and I really and she is the head of the there's a museum in Wrocław, but she was full of anger because her family was kicked out of their home by German Balts. So this was she experienced a lot of aggression as a child, and she suffered from this, and so she can't go in contact.
It would have been amazing to have a voice that still has that anger.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's you or your father who collaterally portrayed it somehow.
Yeah.
What is the situation with these families now? Or were they compensated?
Yes. Well, these families that were kicked out of their houses, were they compensated? What's their situation now? Do they house their houses? They got back their houses, or?
So I think it is the same process than in all post-Soviet countries, that the owners try to get back their properties, and in some reasons yes, in some reasons no. And even the property of this noble family, this is split up in, so this is complicated because the property of Mrs. Czerniecki, he was the owner of huge land, and then this is separated in Soviet times and given to the people and to whom it belongs now. So it was this kind of tricky situation where so in some situations they get their old property and in some situations not. And I was maybe just a little in Latvia, I was very surprised because the people normally were the people often are very open and very friendly, and one of the first questions is, do you want to have your property back? And this is a question for me so no, this story is done. No, never. But they weren't, but they really were open to it. I was kind of afraid of this question because I don't want any property like this. Is not my piece of cake. No.
So we have a question. We have a question at the back. Can we? Okay, then lady.
Yeah, thanks. So first of all, congratulations, and I highly resonate with your documentary. I'll do kind of trip this year with my father. We will go in Moldavian Republic and in Ukraine, from where he's coming. Sorry.
It's always moving.
How impactful was for you? I saw for your father, but nothing from you. So you interview your father. We saw how this trip changed him. How did this trip change you?
Yeah, thank you for the question. It is a very powerful tool. So I read a lot about the psychodynamics processes of spaces you visit and what comes up if you really go into the story. I read so much about this. Intellectually, I understand everything, but going on trip, it surprised me by the deepness of the feelings. And coming back to the filmic moment, I'm in the position of the narrator of the film, so I'm telling the story of my grandmother, I'm telling this childhood story as one line of the journey, so I intertwined that, and the inner movements. So my inner movements are really condensed in this voice-over narration, and of course I gave a lot of space to my father because I don't want to lighten up myself so much, but I have some condensed sentences, and I can maybe say more about this. How does it change me? So my picture is so the picture of my grandmother changed a lot because I discovered dark sides of sorrows, traumatic sides of her, because my childish view was of this powerful kind of feministic women, which is the grande dame. And now I saw the other side. So my position of a little child changed to an adult woman, so to say. And although the position to my father changed a lot. So because on this travel, I have to deal with my position as daughter, and also as having a person who's affected by the history, and also as a filmmaker. And also, in a way, I have to take care of my father as well. So it was also a complicated situation. So it changed my relationship to my father a lot, but also, so I have no, so in German I would say, maybe someone can help me, ich habe keine offene Rechnung mit ihm. That means, so I don't have to blame him anymore for something he did in my childhood, or that the lack of love, or his anger and aggression during these maneuvers. So I'm okay with that. The word is
Forgiveness?
Yes. It is kind of, yes. Yeah, right. So I'm fine with that. I have no open deal or no open invoice or so what. So so this changed. It's changed. I'm friendly with my history, with his history, but with a deep understanding, with a really deep understanding of the dimension of our family's history, and also my view on history itself changed a lot. Maybe this is an answer.
First of all, I'd like to answer maybe the question before. The ex-communist countries had different policies regarding the properties that were confiscated, and in Poland, so far as I know, they didn't give back the properties themselves. They gave participation in different companies. So people would get money or whatever instead of the house itself or the property itself, which is very different from Romania, where they had gone all the way back, giving back schools, hospitals, and everything, which produced havoc. Beyond that, let me congratulate you for this exceptional documentary centered on an exceptional individual who is your father. But it's not only a journey into the past with a therapeutic power, a cathartic power, so to speak. It's also a look at the history of this part of Europe in the last 40, 50 years. So beyond that personal implication of you and your family, it has a more general meaning. And the question is, was the Austrian television interested in financing this documentary? And what's the destiny of the film? Where can it be seen in Austria, in Germany? And because in Romania we have a problem. There's no way to see a documentary in cinemas other than festivals, which is a pity. The national television should do that, in my opinion. They don't. And so that's a problem for a film like yours to reach an audience and, touch them. Yeah. The older persons and the younger that know nothing about that period too. Thank you.
So starting with the last question or comment, this film has funding by different institutions in Austria, by the Ministry for Filmic Projects, also by the Austrian Film Commission, and by the and also by the broadcast station also. So it will be also, I hope so, screened on television. So this contract says that they are allowed to do. And there will be a start in cinema also in May in Austria, and all the in different places in Austria. Though the 10th of May it will start. And there in Austria there's also a funding for Cinema Start, that this comes into cinema. And of course there are small cinemas or programs, really programmed cinemas, and they are. Of course, they are not blockbusters, But yeah. So and also we do a little. We have a tournée in Germany in different places, which are organized with a lot of talks. So this film, we guess it's a film to be discussed and debate afterwards. So so we have a lot of, or we have some screenings combined with discussions and the audience, which I think is important because you mentioned the topic. It is because of the topic, and you, as I remember, you also spoke about the hidden agenda, which is in, that is for me. The first thing I thought on this film is that this is my personal family story, but I wanted to show it in a way that it could work for others as well and for other societies, countries. This is my great wish on it. So because I think the dynamic of unsolved traumas transmitted to one generation to the next is something which is a worldwide phenomenon of traumatic situations which are not worked on individually, but also in a broader sense in the society. And I would wish that there would be more discussion on the topic so at least to prevent that such stories. That history repeat itself in different colors, different styles, but the very inner point repeat itself if you don't break the chain, or how could I say this? And yes, thank you for the comment on the structures of reimbursing the properties. Okay, so.
It's her personal view on that.
Okay, okay.
The truth is that people didn't got their properties back. They didn't.
Not all. Some did, yeah.
Some, yeah, but never hospitals or schools or public places. Never. Oh, you don't say.
No, I actually have a grandfather that.
His old house was transformed into a dispensary or like a medical place, and he struggled for 20 years until he died to get that back. And one of the excuses that the authorities would give him is that the place is public use, and they never got to give that compensation.
That's what I meant.
Yeah, but maybe there were cases that yeah.
Even hospitals or schools were given back, which is fucking bullshit.
May I suggest that we get back a bit to the film, even though this is an interesting debate, but there's not so much time. I mean, if we had an hour. Okay, so we have one more question. Yes, you are. But let me just add to, you were asking where can people see the films from the festival. Of course, it's a different experience, but you can see them online. For example, at this dafilms.com, Doc Alliance platform, where many festivals are sending their films, and you can watch them for, I don't know, it's really something like €10 per year or something, or per month, I don't know, but not a huge sum. And there are about 2,000 or 3,000 documentary films, many of those that have been screened at the One World Romania. Are you also planning some VOD to put it online or not?
Yes, I think, yes. But this is, so there's a production company and there's a distribution company, and of course we try, our goal is really to disseminate it, to spread it, because it has to be discussed. This is a topic, it's a very, as I said before, it's a topic which is very, very important to spread out and to be discussed.
That's great. And we have a question here, which is, okay, I'll give you my microphone so that we hear
The
it.
microphone is here. I was.
Here.
Sorry. So, okay, I will start then.
Yeah, please.
The idea is that this film for me was like a revelation, because I have to say that I arrived at this documentary by chance, because I honestly a fight with my husband this morning, and I realized that I have some big traumas from my childhood, and yeah, I also discussed with my father about the traumatic. My parents got divorced 10 years ago, and the idea that I discussed with him why did all the bad things happen in the past, and the answer was like, I don't know. I don't have an answer. So starting from your documentary, my question is, how, even after your trip with your father and after all the discussions, how can you, this forgiveness that you said that you have, is it from the intellectual point of view or from the heart? Because I have this struggle in my heart, and I'm not sure if this can be really from the heart and not from the intellectual.
Rational or irrational?
Clearly by heart. Clearly by heart, but it's really it took a long time, and this changes of from intellectual to heart, that took really a long time to be in connection with both, and yeah, and don't forget there are also possibilities to have professional support. There are possibilities. If it's really a concern, there are. I don't know how it works in Romania, but there are possibilities. Like maybe you read the credits, which are in German. Sorry for that. But I have had also psychoanalytic support to understand what's going on, to really understand and work over it, and that was very nice. So I won't say that. Yeah, it doesn't come easy. Sometimes it comes easy, but I really want to encourage you to. Yeah, I think talking, understanding the other position. What's going the next generation? Look at the next generation, or look at the. Or even if you have children, look how you behave. So there are so many possibilities. And it's a long journey from the intellect to the heart, from my side. But it works. It works.
Hello. Thank you for this wonderful film. It's very emotional, and it clearly impacted a lot of us. It touched us. I was curious, there was a scene in the movie where your father asks you why are you doing this, when you were sitting on I think there's a lake or a river behind you, and you're crying. I saw you were crying, and he was, I think, crying as well, I'm not sure, but he asked you at some point, or that was the translation, why is this crap for, why are you pushing it so hard? And I was curious because you never included your answer. I was curious, what was your answer then, and then what was your motivation for doing this film? And then one more question, we don't know what happened to your grandmother. What happened with her? I understand that he never went to visit her in Gran Canaria at all, but I mean, what happened with her, and how did this affect you and him as well? Thank you.
So the first question concerning our trip, this was in Sweden, this scene, and we see the Swedish sea there. And my answer, so I was struggling a lot with his aggression in this moment. So I was kind of overwhelmed by his aggression, which appears that there is one sentence later on in the film where I said that he always felt as an object by his mother and object by me as filmmaker. So, and this aggression really comes out a lot. And I was kind of speechless. And I tried to do some maneuvers to declare myself, but it's really like, so it would bore you if I would show this. So, and also in the film, this is also a clear decision that I let some conflicts open. I don't solve all the conflicts. And this is also a clear decision to let conflicts open. And there was a second question.
Before that, just because did he ever ask you why are you doing this?
Yeah, he asked.
That was my action.
Yeah, why I'm doing this? Why I'm doing this? To understand. So this maneuver in the film, Children Below Deck, really affects me a lifelong. And even if I'm sitting here in the cinema and hear this scene, so my heart is going like bloop, 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 bloop. So I can't do. So this is like, it happens to me. So, and I want to understand, and I was angry because in my childhood, or even if as an adult and some years ago, my parents said, this was for safety reasons, because there were no safety belts, and for that reason you have to do this maneuver. For me it was clear this is not about safety. The feelings, and this was like being in wartime, and being protected from bullets going down, and the bullets are shooting. So this was my feeling all the time, and I wanted to know. So I was poking in that. Give me an answer to my feelings. I was really, and this was, it makes him uncomfortable at that moment, and not at that moment. So there are many more moments where there was a lot of aggression. So, and you also have to stand this aggression. So it comes because this lady before said how you worked over it. So it is a lot of struggling, aggression, and to come to another moment, but to understand, to stand it. Yeah.
There was a second part of the question about the grandmother.
The grandmother. Yeah, she died in 1988, and there was another story that she's lying in the hospital, and all her sons are coming in to say goodbye, and she was waiting for my father to come, and he has to fly there, and we have shooted this scene a lot with her death, but then we decided for dramaturgical reasons not to have it in, because in the last moment she put away his hand, so it was kind of dramatic situation. So, or he interpreted like this. So I don't know what. But we decided for dramaturgical reason not to bring this into the film.
I'm afraid we have space for one last question, because there's another screening coming. So if there is one, so please. Sorry, do you have a question to the movie, or? Okay, because we really have some 5 minutes in.
So my question is, after all your work and your investigation into this subject, do you think we really pay for the sins of previous generations? As they say, there is a saying everywhere on the planet that the actual people, generation living now, sometimes we have to pay for the sins of previous people in our family.
So the payment is an emotional payment, I guess. It is by our relations, and I guess it's and it leaves traces in the society. Yes, but it's not only our generation. All the generations are paying this, and the credits in the credits said, the first sentence in my credits said, "This is dedicated to my nieces and nephews." I have no own children, but I wanted to dedicate it to the next generation. So this is clearly my approach, that they talk to each other.
Well, I think this is also a great message of the film, that we should talk to each other, and you inspired us by your film in searching, maybe, because as you said in the end, that time alone does not heal the wounds itself.
Right, right.
Thank you very much again for coming, bringing this wonderful film. Hope to have you back at the festival, or That's great.
Absolut.
Thank you for coming. Mulțumim că ați venit.